OnePlus 3 Review, Flagship Phone at Mid-Range Price. The OnePlus 3 is the latest top-end smartphone sold at mid-range prices from Chinese manufacturer OnePlus, which offers a refined experience for considerably less than Samsung, HTC, LG or Apple. The 3 is the fourth smartphone from OnePlus, a small Chinese startup aiming to provide the best experience possible product for significantly less money than rivals, and is a big step in all directions over last year's OnePlus 2. Aluminium top to bottom. The OnePlus 3 is an all-metal phone with a slightly curved back, smooth edges and contoured glass front that tapers off towards the edges. It feels very well put together, really great in the hand and as good as the very best from high-priced rivals. The 5.5-inch Full HD screen is vibrant, with inky blacks, rich colors and excellently white whites. It isn't as high resolution, and therefore not as pixel-dense as the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, however, which is noticeable side by side. It's also not great for use in virtual reality headsets, but most buyers will be happy with the quality of the screen. The display also has very narrow bezels either side, which makes the OnePlus 3 quite narrow for a large-screen smartphone, and more manageable than most because the overall size of the device is kept quite small. Compared to the best 5.5-inch smartphone available, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge with its curved screen, the OnePlus 3 is only 2.1 mm wider. It's also only 1.8 mm taller than the Samsung. One of the things unique to OnePlus is a notification slider on the side of the phone that switches between silent, priority and all notifications. It's great and every Android phone should have one. Specifications. Screen, 5.5-inch Full HD AMOLED, 401 pin. Processor, quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. RAM, 6 GB of RAM. Storage, 64 GB. Operating system, Android 6.0.1 Oxygen OS. Camera, 16MP rear camera with OIS, 8MP front-facing camera. Connectivity, LTE, dual SIM, Wi-Fi, NFC, USB-C, Bluetooth 4.2 and GPS. Dimensions, 152.7 by 74.7 by 7.35 mm. Weight, 158 grams. Top spec is almost overkill. The OnePlus 3 runs Qualcomm's latest top-end smartphone chip, the Snapdragon 820, which will likely power most of the flagship smartphones for the remainder of 2016. It's a pretty powerful chip that will handle almost anything anyone is likely to try to do with a smartphone. Advertisement. One thing that sets the OnePlus 3 apart from the pack is its 6 GB of RAM. Most smartphones have 2 or 3 GB, with some such as the Galaxy S7 Edge having 4 GB. The more RAM a phone has, the more apps and tabs in the browser they can have open at the same time, but frankly 6 GB is a bit overkill for what's possible at the moment. Looking at the memory monitor built into Android, of the 5.6 GB of RAM available, I barely ever used more than 3.5 GB. As with computers, however, you're only ever going to need more memory as things progress, so you could look at it as future-proofing. The OnePlus 3 was snappy and performed well throughout my testing, with little in the way of noticeable lag or stutter anywhere. It even handled 30-minute gaming sessions without getting too hot on a day when ambient temperature hit 25°C. Used as my primary device with 4 hours of listening to music through Bluetooth headphones, 3 hours spent browsing or using apps, occasional gaming and taking photos, with hundreds of push notifications throughout the day, the OnePlus 3 lasted just over 24 hours between charges. I noticed that battery life during the day was quite good, on par with some of the more power-efficient smartphones, but that standby time overnight was poor, losing between 12 and 16% of charge while left on silent on a bedside table for 7 hours. Most devices lose around 1% of charge per hour. Dash charge. OnePlus has licensed sister Chinese smartphone manufacturer Oppo's fast charging technology, which operates differently than most other quick charging solutions by moving the fast charging chips to the power adapter, rather than the phone. The dash charge system moves the largest source of heat during charging from the cramped confines of the phone near the battery to something plugged into the wall, meaning the phone can charge faster without you having to worry about it overheating. Advertisement. Charging from 0 to 100% took 72 minutes, while 0 to 75% took 36 minutes. That's not a lot faster than the best of the rest when not in use. The difference is that the phone didn't heat up at all, and could be used like normal without impacting the charging rate. Most devices get too hot and must slow down the charging speed, particularly when someone is using the device with the screen on. The downside is that if you charge the OnePlus 3 via any non-charge compatible power adapters, such as a computer, the phone charges at the slow, normal rate. Chargers cost £16 each, so it's worth buying another with the phone. The OnePlus 3 is also a dual SIM phone, which is quite rare in the UK, meaning you can have two different plans, networks and phone numbers connecting to one phone, useful for carrying a work phone and personal phone in one device, for instance. Better still, it can support two SIM cards in standby simultaneously, which means both cards can be connected to a 4G/3G network at the same time. Most only support one card in 2G mode, discounting networks such as the UK's 3, which do not use a 2G signal. Oxygen OS, unless you don't like it. OnePlus produces a custom version of Android called Oxygen OS. The latest version is based on Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow, and on the face of it looks no different from the version of Android running on Google's Nexus smartphones. Oxygen OS has a slightly different launcher with the company's so-called shelf on the leftmost home screen pane, a place for putting widgets, apps icons and the weather. Users can also have on-screen navigation buttons, or using the capacitive touch ones below the screen to save space as well as customize what they do. For instance, I set a double tap of the recently used apps button to immediate switch to the last used app, a feature that's been added to the next version of Android N. A selection of other gestures, as well as an ambient display mode that wakes the screen when notifications come in or uses the camera to detect when your hand is over the screen to wake up, are also available. Oxygen OS is one of the better, stripped-back and bloat-free versions of Android. Fingerprint scanner. The home button functions as a fingerprint scanner, which is fast and responsive. Most of the time it would recognize my thumb first time, but occasionally would struggle when my thumb didn't quite cover the whole sensor at odd angles. It is significantly improved over the OnePlus 2, and only slightly worse than the very best from Huawei. Camera. The main 16-megapixel camera on the back is capable of some pretty good shots across varied lighting conditions. With good lighting, the camera produces detailed pictures with fairly lifelike colors without much trouble. In difficult lighting conditions, such as those under artificial light, the images can look a bit grainy at full crop. It's not quite the best camera available, but it's still up there with smartphones costing half as much again. The camera app is relatively simple to use to get good pictures, and has full manual controls with RAW support if so desired. Slow-motion 720p video at 120 fps is also available, with 4K recording at 30 fps if required. The 8-megapixel selfie camera on the front produces some of the most detailed selfies I've seen, even in relatively difficult lighting conditions. Observations. The gray aluminium has a slight red tint to it in certain lights. The tiny bezels made it easier to hold, but I found it quite easy to activate the capacitive navigation buttons with my palm. Silencing the phone with the notification slider is easy and fast. Chargers power other devices up to 2A, which is normal charging rate. OnePlus sells a car charger for £25. It's got NFC, which the OnePlus 2 oddly didn't, good for Android Pay. The phone ships with an unlocked bootloader, making it easier to load custom Android versions, should you not like Oxygen OS. It comes with a screen protector pre-installed, but like most screen protectors on contoured or curved glass, stands out like a sore thumb. Price. The OnePlus 3 costs £309, $399, available in grey with a gold color available later. The phone will be available straight from OnePlus without the company's controversial invite system. For comparison, the 5.5-inch Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge costs £639, the Google Nexus 6P costs £449 and the Huawei P9 Plus costs £500. Verdict. Previous OnePlus smartphones have claimed to be flagship killers. That's still not quite accurate, but the OnePlus 3 is a very good smartphone priced at less than half the price of top rivals. For your £309 you get a beautiful, well-made metal smartphone, with reasonable battery life, good screen and cameras, and snappy performance. You also get dual SIM support and 64GB of storage built in. It is easily the best smartphone OnePlus has made. The biggest complaint of previous OnePlus smartphones was how difficult they were to actually buy, which shouldn't be the case anymore, while the company has worked hard to improve support options. There's still a question over the speed of software updates, but for a top-spec smartphone at a mid-range price, you don't get much better than the OnePlus 3 Plus 3 design. We don't know exactly how the OnePlus 3 will look, but a few leaked renders have been hinting at a sleek design. The leaked images were concept renders of the OnePlus 3 with a slimmer design, glass front and the back with a textured material, which will probably be replaceable. The rest seemed familiar with a metal frame that holds it all together. The most recently leaked images show a physical home button that will probably double as a fingerprint sensor. The power button is on the right and the volume rocker on the left. Though not mentioned, we can expect swappable back covers. Taiwanese blogger, Mobile Dad, had said the upcoming OnePlus 3 will have a completely revamped design, similar to what Pei conveyed to Connect a month ago. Some reported changes include 2 speakers, one each at the top and bottom, with a large display sporting a larger screen-to-body ratio when compared to the OnePlus 2 and a shutter key for the camera. Display, processor and storage. While a Full HD display has been a consistent rumor, some report point out a 5-inch display size. There is no word on variance in terms of display size, as seen in other popular devices, but the company has 2 variants in terms of memory. This was brought to light by leaked benchmark listings. It is to come armed with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 SoC with an Adreno 530 GPU. Users are expected to get 2 options in the form of 4GB and 6GB RAM. These will be available with 32GB and 64GB onboard storage respectively. Camera, OS and battery. The device is likely to come with a 16MP rear and 8MP front camera. The phone is expected to run Android 6.0.1 based Oxygen OS 3.0. A 3500 mAh battery completes the package. Another listing from benchmarking service called Geekbench shows another handset tagged as the Rain A3000 but with 4GB RAM. OnePlus has filed a patent for Dash Charge, which is a quick charging technology. The same was reported by Pocket Now and is also expected to make an appearance in the company's upcoming OnePlus 3 smartphone, as the OnePlus 2 missed out on it completely. OnePlus has been a value-for-money brand, and at times launching such a product does come with its shortcomings. This became evident in the case of the Chinese smartphone maker's current flagship that was launched last year. The OnePlus 2 missed out on quick charging due to its USB Type-C port, even though it packed in the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 810, the not-so-hot-headed variant, which was disappointing. More so because there was plenty of other stuff that was missing as well. Soon enough, it appeared that OnePlus did settle when it came to the OnePlus 2. With the company's new Dash Charge patent on the horizon, it does seem that OnePlus may actually be preparing to go head-to-head with its higher-priced competitors. Add to this another report coming from Gizmo China, about a 4GB RAM and a 6GB RAM variant, and it becomes clear that OnePlus is going all in for this year's flagship. Also interesting is the pricing details that comes from the same report. A OnePlus employee told Gizmo China that the OnePlus 3 will be priced at around 1,999 Chinese yuans, approximately Rs 20,000, which sounds like a good deal for its base model 4GB RAM and 32GB of storage. Whatever it is, we will know soon, as the flagship smartphone is expected to be announced in Q2 this year. OnePlus 3 review, flagship phone at mid-range price. The OnePlus 3 is the latest top-end smartphone sold at mid-range prices from Chinese manufacturer OnePlus, which offers a refined experience for considerably less than Samsung, HTC, LG or Apple. The 3 is the fourth smartphone from OnePlus, a small Chinese startup aiming to provide the best experience possible product for significantly less money than rivals, and is a big step in all directions over last year's OnePlus 2. Aluminium top to bottom. The OnePlus 3 is an all-metal phone with a slightly curved back, smooth edges and contoured glass front that tapers off towards the edges. It feels very well put together, really great in the hand and as good as the very best from high-priced rivals. The 5.5-inch Full HD screen is vibrant, with inky blacks, rich colors and excellently white whites. It isn't as high resolution, and therefore not as pixel dense as the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, however, which is noticeable side by side. It's also not great for use in virtual reality headsets, but most buyers will be happy with the quality of the screen. The display also has very narrow bezels either side, which makes the OnePlus 3 quite narrow for a large-screen smartphone, and more manageable than most because the overall size of the device is kept quite small. Compared to the best 5.5-inch smartphone available, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge with its curved screen, the OnePlus 3 is only 2.1 mm wider. It's also only 1.8 mm taller than the Samsung. One of the things unique to OnePlus is a notification slider on the side of the phone that switches between silent, priority and all notifications. It's great and every Android phone should have one. Specifications. Screen, 5.5-inch Full HD AMOLED, 401p. Processor, quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. RAM, 6 GB of RAM. Storage, 64 GB. Operating system, Android 6.0.1 Oxygen OS. Camera, 16MP rear camera with OIS, 8MP front-facing camera. Connectivity, LTE, dual SIM, Wi-Fi, NFC, USB-C, Bluetooth 4.2 and GPS. Dimensions, 152.7 by 74.7 by 7.35 mm. Weight, 158 grams. Top spec is almost overkill. The OnePlus 3 runs Qualcomm's latest top-end smartphone chip, the Snapdragon 820, which will likely power most of the flagship smartphones for the remainder of 2016. It's a pretty powerful chip that will handle almost anything anyone is likely